So thank you everybody for being here tonight. Essential tips from Expats Portugal for buying and driving a car in Portugal. This is something of an annual event, isn't it, Jerry? And this is the 2025 edition. I think you're now famous for this.
I think this might be the sixth time we've done this, and it doesn't change too much, but there are always lots of new people coming in, and it's always good to have a refresher. And some people, of course, haven't actually made the move yet, and there might be some points to pick up on there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us through all the requirements for purchasing and driving a car in Portugal. And then I'm going to hand over to João Amaral, who's our car expert and can help you to source a car in Portugal. And he will run through a little bit of his services. And then we will introduce some hopefully satisfied customers to tell you a little bit of their experience in buying a car before handing back to me, and I'll wrap it up. And then we can have a Q&A session. Is that good, Carl? You got that?
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Looking forward to it. Okay. And it's great to see you standing by the 25 de Abril bridge there as well. Nice effect.
Is that what I was doing? It doesn't say that on my screen, but I'll take your word for it.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll just start with, this is an extra slide that I just put in because I thought that a few points that come up quite regularly in the consultations and so on that we do. So I thought I would bring these up. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, do I need a car in Portugal? And indeed, a lot of people are looking to come here and be carless. Now, it's very possible to do that in Portugal. Public transport system is very good, especially if you choose the right town or the city, and you'll find excellent local services, be they metros, trains, metros or buses. And then we have a national train and bus service, which are very good, generally reliable, comfortable, and inexpensive. So if you want to take that route, you can. There are 3 websites there, and a copy of this presentation will be available on the forum later. So you don't need to write anything down. You can go and get a copy of it later on. But here you have the National Rail Service. You can check on that. And these are both national bus services across Portugal. And I know, particularly if you're in the States, you might not use a national bus service in the States, but you can use the national bus service here with perfect safety and comfort. Now, driving in Portugal, if you do decide to buy a car, well, it can be delightful. There's plenty of scenic routes, modern highways, and well-maintained roads. And if you're a really lucky car, you might spot the odd castle, right? So it really is a pleasure to drive in Portugal. It's back to the old days when it was quite nice to go out and buy an ice cream or something and just have a drive and probably get lost, but that doesn't matter because we've all got GPS these days. Keep in mind, we drive on the right, we overtake on the left. And if you're on a roundabout, the cars on the roundabout already have the right of way. We don't have the turn right on a red light that you have in the US. So don't make that mistake and think you can do it. It's almost certainly illegal here in Portugal. But as I said, having a car is well worthwhile. There's so many hidden gems in Portugal that you won't get to by public transport. And it's a very, very nice thing to do on a summer's afternoon, just go for a drive. Are cars expensive in Portugal? This is something else that comes up a lot. And yes, they can be more expensive in Portugal when you compare them with other countries. However, they do hold their value for longer. And I can give you a good example of that, where we bought a car, a new car, a brand new car, a small Nissan from the dealership 6 years ago. We bought it for 20,500, and we sold it after 5 years with 65,000 kilometers on the clock, and we sold it back to the dealer for 15,500. So that car cost 5,000 euros to own and drive for 5 years, and it was fully warranted. And we did have to pay for a couple of services, and that was it. So they do hold their value. And I know from having two daughters in the States, they can go out and buy a nearly new car. They sell it after 5 years and it's worth nothing. In fact, they're lucky if they get any money for it at all. So cars are more expensive, but they hold the value. They're less susceptible to rust, and low-cost maintenance is plentiful. Okay? So what happens if you want to import your own car? This is, again, a question that comes up a lot. Well, first of all, the vehicle must be in your name for at least 6 months before moving. If you're not driving the car to Portugal, the freight costs are expensive. And to give you some idea of that, if you're shipping from the east coast of the USA to Lisbon, we're probably talking around at least $3,000 to ship a car. If it's coming from the west coast, probably twice that. It would be the same if we were shipping from somewhere like Montreal from Canada, probably around 3, maybe 4,000. So that's just the shipping cost, okay? Then you need to bring the car across to European standards of conformity, and it needs to be registered with Portuguese plates. Now, this is called matriculation. It doesn't matter that you have a European car. If you're driving a BMW and want to ship a BMW to Portugal, and that BMW was spec'd in the US, it will need to be brought to European standards here in Portugal. And it can be very expensive and even in some cases impossible to achieve. You'll need a range of documents, including a certificate of conformity from the manufacturer, which can take some time to get. I learned this afternoon that can take up to 3 months to get that. So you need to think in advance about all of this. You could be liable to pay VAT at 23% and ISV, which is a sales tax on cars in Portugal, up to 10%. You might be able to get around that if you can get a baggage certificate and so on, but you could have liability for it. And there's no way to work out the actual costs of all this without knowing the model, the age, the specification, and the place of manufacture. So there are some exemptions for classic cars. And if you're talking about bringing a right-hand drive car here, say from the UK or from Ireland, keep in mind that it will be difficult to sell that car on once you've matriculated it into and register it as a Portuguese car. So the advice here is check the costs before you make any equipment to ship or drive the vehicle to Portugal. Talk to us. We need to check it out before you do it. Generally speaking, if you're shipping from within Europe, it's probably okay. If you're shipping outside, if you're shipping from North America or further afield, it's probably going to be more expensive than selling that car and buying a replacement car in Portugal. Okay. Now, what about buying a car in Portugal? Well, first of all, most private buyers purchase used cars rather than new vehicles. New vehicles are quite expensive in Portugal. The reason they're expensive is because Portugal imposes an additional sales tax on cars, which, as far as I know, is not legal. And every year the country gets fined by the European Union, but they're happy to pay the fine and keep the revenue rather than give up the revenue. We do recommend that you buy from a dealer rather than an unknown private individual. There's a law in Portugal that if there's outstanding finance on a car, you can inherit that finance, that debt, when you buy the car. So you really need to be talking to a dealer who can thoroughly check and make sure the car is finance free before you buy it. The price you see will include the sales tax, which is the VAT. So generally speaking, the sticker you see on the car will be the price, but you will need to think about road tax. I'll come back to this a little bit later, but it will be applicable when the existing tax expires. So just keep that in mind. I'll come back on that later. And then the other thing as part of the purchase you will need to register the car to your name and your address. In Portugal, you register the car to the owner, and anytime you transfer the car, it has to be re-registered to the next owner. That's the way it works. We don't transfer plates like you do in the States, for example. So again, we advise getting a dealer to do this. They'll probably charge a small fee, but it can be quite difficult if you don't speak Portuguese. And of course, you can also use the services of our expert, and he will no doubt pick up on that point later on when Joao speaks. Buying process is easy. There's often scope for negotiation. Usually the dealer will tell you whether there's negotiation or not. I don't quite understand how that works. It might be a question for Zhao later on. And you will need your NIF number, of course. You can't do anything in Portugal without a NIF number. And you will need a Portuguese address. You can't buy a car if you don't have an address to register it to in Portugal. When you're thinking about a car, consider the type of fuel, whether it's diesel or petrol. Diesel is less expensive than petrol. And generally speaking, diesel cars give a better miles per gallon performance. However, diesel cars are slowly being phased out. Depending on how old a car you're looking for, the further back you go, the more diesel cars you'll find, but newer cars, they tend not to be diesel because that's being phased out. But whatever, think about the miles per gallon performance, because the diesel and the petrol or gas are quite expensive in Portugal. And again, that's something that Joao can help you through. We've got lots of hybrids and full EVs now in Portugal. They're becoming more and more popular. I've driven an EV for coming up for 3 years. I have no problem with it whatsoever. To the best of my knowledge, there are something like 7,000 charging stations around Portugal. In my own locality, I can tell you probably at least 6 charging stations that are all rapid chargers nearby. So it's really not a problem to get the car charged in Portugal. Think about the size of the vehicle. Carl and I have some really good experience of this, getting stuck up some medieval streets and not knowing what to do because the car was wider than the street, right? So and that does test your reversing skills, doesn't it, Carl?
Yes, you were great, Jerry. You were great. I just shut my eyes. Let you get on with it.
And also parking a larger vehicle can be difficult. You know, we do have a lot of old places where, you know, we have medieval streets, and you know, obviously medieval streets were built long before big Mercedes or BMWs or whatever it might be. So think about the size of the vehicle and the roads that you want to navigate when you're thinking about a car. And then lastly, the point to bear in mind here is that if you only want an automatic car and you don't want a manual shift, the older the car, the more difficult that will be to find. Today, new cars are rolling out. It's almost switched the other way now. Most new cars, or a lot of new cars, are automatic gearboxes. But if you go back a few years, they were, generally speaking, they were manual gearboxes and not automatic. And that can be a problem for some people, I know. So it can be a little bit of a challenge. And again, that's where Joao can come in big time and help you with that. Okay, finance. As an alternative to buying, you can now lease a new or nearly new car. Leasing seems to be becoming more popular in Portugal. It seems to be finally taking hold. It's kind of widespread across many parts of Europe, but it's a relatively new concept in Portugal. However, in the last year or so, I've seen sort of several new companies start up, and as I said, it's becoming more popular. It's also called renting or long-term renting in Portugal. You can lease a car from about 300 euros per month, including VAT, upwards. Admittedly, 300 euros per month is going to get you a very small car, probably something like a Fiat 500 or something like that. Generally, lease terms are between 36 and 48 months. There will be a mileage limit. You can increase the mileage limit, and then you pay an increase in the monthly fee. That's sort of fairly standard practice, but you go to lease a car, it will say 10,000 kilometers a year or 15,000 kilometers a year, or whatever it is. If you go over that in the 36 or 48 months, you'll be charged penalties. So it's something you've got to think about. Leases can be arranged with or without an initial entry fee, and the monthly fee will usually include all costs for maintenance, insurance, road tax, and tires. Fuel will not be included. The difficulty we have as foreigners is that when we're first settling in Portugal, we may not have the credit rating to qualify for a lease agreement. And that can be a problem. Can also affect applications to purchase a car with finance. So if you go to a dealer and you want to make a purchase with finance and so on, again, that can be difficult because when you're starting out in Portugal, your credit rating is going to probably go back to zero. So keep that in mind. Of course, if you have a house here or some other collateral, then that you can probably get around that problem, or arrange the finance through other sources, or plan ahead with the finance and try and keep some money back to buy a car for cash, at least when you first start out in Portugal. Driving license. Information as of February 2025. Surprisingly, it hasn't changed since I last did this. But I'm sort of wary that it can change, and so I've put that little sort of clause on there. If you're in a European Union or a UK citizen, you can use your existing license until it expires. Okay. However, you should register your license with the IMT within 60 days of establishing residence. Now, I've had some people who've gone along and done that, and the IMT has said, no, you don't need to do that. And I don't know what to say about that. That's what they state on their website, that you have to register with them, that you have an EU or a UK license. But most importantly, before your license expires, you should arrange to exchange it for a Portuguese license. If you don't do it before your license expires, you run the risk of having to take a driving test again, and it will be in Portuguese. So very important to keep an eye on the expiration date of your license. So that's European or UK. If you're a citizen of Australia, Canada, USA, or another OECD country, you can drive for up to 185 days, provided you are not a resident. So you can come here and drive for 185 days on your existing license. If you become a resident and you're under 60, you can continue to use your existing license, provided it's valid, but again, you should register with the IMT. If you become a resident and are over 60 years of age, then you have 90 days to arrange for an exchange license. Okay, there will be a copy of this if anybody wants to look at this in more detail. To apply for an exchange, you will need a medical certificate from your doctor, and that includes a sanity check. Did you pass that last time, Carl, or did you have to do it again?
Only just.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody told me it's called the sanity clause, but I didn't think sanity clause existed then. But sorry.
Oh, right. I got you now. Yes.
Sanity.
Never mind. Do that again? Do you want to do that again? No, I'm not sure everybody's
No. Forget it. We'll move on.
Carry on.
We'll try it again next year. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So you need a medical certificate from your doctor. You'll need a residency permit, and and your current license, and you may also need a certificate of authenticity. So it's probably worth doing that before you leave your country, your current country of residence. Get that certificate so that you have it when you come here. You can read more information. This is the government body, IMT, and it translates to English and perfectly well. You can read this information online, and you can actually start the process of the exchange if you need it. And I've read some things on the internet, and people have said to me, our Portuguese license doesn't work here, it doesn't work there. It's absolute nonsense. A Portuguese license is a standard EU-approved license and can be used in pretty much most countries around the world. And I know that from personal experience, having rented cars in the States, in Canada, in Ireland, in Iceland, and many other countries with my Portuguese license. Okay. Right, road tax, otherwise known as IUC. This is payable annually from the first date of vehicle registration, and it's paid by the registered owner of the car. It pays for road maintenance and repairs, and I think helps towards public transport and things like that. The costs will vary depending on the age, engine size, and emissions of the car. But to give you some idea, a small car is probably around 130 euros per annum, medium 146, larger 225 euros per annum. Vehicles registered up to 2007 have lower tax rates. And you make the payment through your local finance portal. Everything's recorded online. If you get a police stop, they can check from the registration plate on your car as to whether or not you have paid the tax. If you haven't paid the tax, you'll get a fine, or you likely get a fine. And if you have an electric vehicle currently, no pun intended, they're exempt from IUC. Okay. No, it's too late now, Carl.
Packing them in. No, you are
you missed the
packing them in.
sanity clause. Not good enough. Insurance. Okay. I put some prices up. A small family car, fully comprehensive insurance, cost about 516 euros. A year. A medium car with third-party insurance only, about 216 euros a year, and a large executive car could be as much as 800 euros, fully comprehensive per year, just to give you some indication of the prices. In Portugal, we insure the car, not the driver. And that could be beneficial for some people. In some countries, you insure the driver, so you will now find you need only one insurance policy to cover your car, and anyone that can legally drive that car will be insured. Rates will be better for drivers who are over 30 years of age and at least 10 years experience of driving and a no claims record. So if you have that, get a statement from your current insurance people and to that effect, and bring it with you. It does make a big difference. When I did it, I got mine and presented it to the insurance company, and I think it took 20% off my policy straight away. So it's well worth doing. You can have third-party foreign theft, or fully comprehensive policies. They're all available, but generally speaking, you can't get comprehensive insurance if the car is over 10 years old. I think some companies will do it, but generally it's not a practice here. The insurance policy will include breakdown recovery in Portugal, at least, and a lot of people don't actually know this, and will think about having sort of separate break. But by law, insurance policies here have to include breakdown recovery. So if your car won't start, whether it's at your home or whether you're out or something else goes wrong, you'll have a number that your insurance company will supply, and they'll come and get you and recover you and take your car to at the local garage and take you to wherever it is you need to go. Most insurance policies will include cover to drive within the EU. So if you have a car in Portugal and you've insured it in Portugal, nothing to stop you driving across to Spain and up into France and anywhere else within the EU. There might be some additional countries. UK is often included as well. You must carry the insurance certificate in the car. I'll come back to that. And that's it as far as insurance is concerned. Then we have vehicle safety. This is an IPO certificate, and it's obligatory for cars that are over 4 years old. And it's a test for roadworthiness, the brakes, the lights, the emissions, all that sort of stuff, all have to meet certain standards. So once a car is 4 years old, it has to be tested. But then from until it's 8 years old, it must be retested every 2 years. And after that, it must be retested every year. It's a fairly straightforward thing to do. You go to a local IPO center. They're plentiful. Usually you'll see one within sort of 30 minutes of wherever you are. An inspection will cost about 35 euros. And then you must carry the certificate in the car. Oh, and by the way, if the car fails for any reason, you'll have to go away and fix whatever the problem is and then go back and have another inspection. That's how it works, okay? Pretty straightforward. If you have an accident, if you have a crash and you're not interested, the first step is to leave the car, put on a high-vis jacket, and place the warning triangle about 30 minutes behind the car. That's obligatory. If you're on a highway, I don't know whether this is obligatory or not, but it's my common sense coming out now. Get everybody out of the car and get them behind the crash barriers. There's been so many accidents with people being hit because on motorways because they're the wrong side of the crash barrier. So get them out of the car. If there are injuries, you call 112 and you provide all the information. The police they only want to attend if there are serious injuries. However, there can often be disputes about accountability, and so the police are often called upon to come and intervene on that basis. If it's a minor accident, you trust the person. It may be possible to reach an oral agreement without having to let the insurance company know. For example, how about I give you 50 years and we forget about it? I think that's what that means. You complete, I'm going to struggle to say this, a declario amigável, which is a friendly declaration, I think is the literal translation. And it's a document where you put all the detail of the accident, you draw the pictures and everything else, and both parties have to complete the document, and then it goes to the insurance company and they make the decisions. Okay. So that's the procedure when it comes to accidents. So what else? A few other things. You must carry your ID or passport, your driving license, the insurance certificate, the ownership registration document, and it can also be a plastic card these days, and if it's applicable, the IPO certificate. They must be in the car at all times. And you should also carry that insurance accident form. A warning triangle and a high-vis jacket are obligatory. And again, my common sense comes in and says a first aid kit and some high-vis jackets for all passengers makes a lot of sense in my view. Toll fees are payable on many motorways. Now, we had some very good news in Portugal in January where a lot of the toll fees were lifted off the motorways. And I think that only a small number of motorways now have toll fees. The rest of them, there are no longer any tolls. However, the Via Verde, which is the tag, you can buy this tag, it costs next to nothing. You stick it on your car windscreen, and then anytime you use a toll, it automatically debits your account. But it's also useful for other things because more and more you can use it for parking. And I do that a lot. And I drive into a parking center, I press the Via Verde button, the barrier opens, I drive out, the barrier opens, and then the system charges my credit card for my parking. So it's really, and I think you can even use them for parking meters now in some places. So they are quite a useful little gizmo to have. And indeed, when you're on a motorway and there are tolls on the motorway, you can go straight through the Via Verde lanes and you don't have to stop, and everything is automatic. So good from that point of view. If you don't do that, then you'll have to visit a pay shop a week after whatever fee you've incurred, give the car registration, and they'll tell you how much you owe. Pay shops are recognized by a certain sign. I can't remember exactly what it is, but most sort of newsagent type shops will be pay shops in Portugal. The police often stage roadside checks for documentation and/or speeding offences, and fines can be on the spot. Now, I think recently the police have been, I now can receive 10% of the fine for themselves. So they're somewhat incentivized to stop you and fine you. So be aware and keep in mind that you must have, probably the biggest thing is that have you got all these documents ready to show them? And if you don't, there could well be a fine. Radar, speed cameras, and average speed cameras are on the increase in Portugal. They're particularly sort of prevalent now around Lisbon and Porto. There's a long stretch now from my journey into Lisbon from Tamar. There's a long stretch of motorway now where there are average speed cameras. And then they do need watching, otherwise you will just get a nice surprise in the post one day with a fine. But although it's not bad because they usually send you a picture of yourself driving along as well, so that's quite nice. Now, that's everything you need to know, except, of course, you need to buy the car. You need to find the car. You need to know that you can trust the dealer and so on and so forth. So I'm now going to hand over to João, who's going to take over this part of the thing. Although I'll drive the presentation, João, so you tell me, we'll start with that, right?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, João.
Just before we can start my presentation, I need to talk about two things about your presentation that I think it's a good thing to clarify, because much of the emails that I receive, people talk about lease a car. Or renting. In Portugal, we call it renting. But it has the same requirements as to do a credit. And normally, people don't have that in the expats don't have the criteria that we need to use, okay? You need to have a Portuguese income, okay? You have to have the receipts for your job or for the retirement, but the Portuguese, it has to be a Portuguese income, okay? You have to have done the IRS, so the taxes in Portugal, okay? And also you need to have your título de residência, at least, okay? Just the passport don't allow you to make a lease, okay? So people that think that the lease can be a good option, I think in some cases it can be a good option, but for the expats, for me, I think it's a little bit difficult, okay? I just want to clarify that. Okay.
Thanks, João.
Another thing, in case of accident, as you refer, okay, my suggestion, especially for you being foreigners, it's to always call the police. Even if it is a small crash, always call the police, because sometimes you do the declaração amigável as you talk, okay? But the other part doesn't show up the next day, and you have problems. If the police takes notes of the accident, okay, you are good. Okay, and imagine that you are guilty of the accident, but the other part is with alcohol. It's better for you, okay?
Yeah.
Because you will divide that 50-50. Okay, so that is just the 2 points that I want to tell about your presentation. That is excellent, of course. But just to clarify these 2 points and my opinion on that, okay?
That makes great sense, Joel. The other thing about the calling the police, sometimes I've noticed people leave their vehicles where they are, which is really inconvenient for everybody else on the road.
But you have to.
Do you recommend that as well? Leave the
Yeah,
vehicles where they end up.
yeah.
Right, okay.
For the police to take measures in the road to see if you are guilty or not. Yes,
Yeah.
until the police comes, you should leave the car in the place, even if you stop all the traffic. But you have to. It's better.
Yeah.
It's better. Okay.
Yeah. It's very uncomfortable, but that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do.
Okay,
Yes.
right. Thank you.
So I will present myself first. My name is João Amaral. I work with cars since I remember. I have it's not just my work, it's my passion. And I'm here to help you to make the best choice you can here in Portugal when you need it. So I work for a company called Roriz Car, and we are 20 years in the market. We are very knowledgeable of the business. Okay, we mostly we sell used cars, used maybe the most 10-year cars, more or less. Okay, but we do sell. We can sell new cars also. At this time, I'm looking for new cars for 2 customers, for 2 expats that contact me, and maybe we will sell new car. Okay, we can negotiate with the dealers to get a better price and then sell it to you. Okay. Also, I want to tell that we have our own stock. We are trying to get the stock more convenient to the expats, have more automatic cars and things like that. Okay, but even when we don't have the car in our stock, we have a large network of partners where we can find the right car that you need. If you see our website and you don't see the car that you are looking for, contact me as well, because I can check with my partners if they have it. Okay. So I think mostly the things that we do, it's this. Okay.
Excellent.
So another thing, normally I try to understand people's needs, because sometimes people comes to me with an idea, and after I make some questions, I see that the car that they are thinking it's not the best for the use that they will do it. Okay, so normally I ask a lot of questions, okay, to see exactly the right car and suggest exactly the right car for the person. Okay, I think we have the people that buy from me already, that they are going to talk, and I've done that process with all of them. Okay, normally we do that because especially the US people doesn't know the models here in Europe. Okay, and sometimes they are a little bit lost to choose what's best for them. Okay, so I think it's that the the service that we do that can be very helpful for you, because you won't waste money buying one thing that somehow it cannot be the thing that you need. Okay, our services are all free. Okay, even if you don't buy from us, I will be very happy to help you to answer your questions. uh, if you buy from me, good. If you don't, good as well. Okay, so be free to ask me everything you need to know, and if I can help, good. Okay, so I don't know if you have some questions, you Carl, or Jerry.
Yeah, we do, and I think probably you and Jerry will address these together. Let's just make sure we've got all your bullet points covered here, Joao, on the screen there. Are you seeing that? Do you want to talk us through these bullet points, which I think will clarify your service a bit more as well?
Okay, I'm seeing the point. I have to see it in my computer because I am in the cell
Well, so
phone.
I can be your glamorous assistant if you like.
No, I have here.
Or you'd
I
rather
can
not.
I can
I can
open in the
understand that.
computer. Um,
That's
so
fair
I
enough.
think the most of this I have covered
Yes.
the most of the points.
Yes.
Um, I normally the cars that we sell cars that we have all the service records. Okay, we check on mileage, but for me this is a point that I always forget, because for me it's obvious that we should do that. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can buy with all the confidence that the car doesn't have any problems with the mileage or something like that. Okay, we
Yeah.
always check the cars. Okay, we fully service the car before we sell it. Okay, we check everything: brakes, suspension. We do the service, everything. Okay, um, all our cars have warranty, 18-month warranty, engine and gearbox. It's a warranty that we do the warranty. Okay, we don't buy the warranty for the companies that do that. So the warranty is ours. So it's in our interest to sell a good car and don't have problems, because if we have problems, it will be on our it's our money that will be fix the car.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Fair enough.
so we are very careful about the preparation of the car,
Mhm.
everything to be as good as possible. Okay, um, our prices always include the warranty and the registration also. Okay, you don't have to do nothing. You just need to sign the papers, and everything else it's going to your home in your name. Okay.
As you say, to your home, so delivery as well included in that, which is fabulous.
The car, yeah. Now I was talking about the documents,
Right. Okay.
but the car, yes, I also deliver the car all over the country. Okay, I've done it for the expats. I have gone to Castelo Branco, I have gone to Peniche, and somewhere else that I don't remember now. Okay,
Well,
and
we could go on road trips together. I'd love to do some of that with you. I think what we'll do, if I may, is we'll come back to some of the questions in the after the recording with our premium members here, which are the understandable questions about importation, purchase, and insurance, and those sorts of things. What I'd like to do before we pause the recording, and there's already a queue forming of people who want to say how great you are, including Carol and Clint. Joao is great. We have people specifically here to comment on your service as well. Mills, are you there? Can you give us a couple of words on how you found Joao's service at Roriz Cars?
I am, Carl. Can you hear me?
Hi there, Mills. Good to see you. Yeah, or good to hear you. Go ahead.
I've been a car buff most of my life, and I had a small collection of American and Japanese cars before coming over, and I learned the sad truth, mostly from Expats Portugal, that it just didn't make much sense. So I sold off my small collection and started looking here in Portugal. And I was surprised to find that the models here and the emphases on different aspects of driving are quite different.
Yeah.
The roads are narrower, the fuel's more expensive, as you've already mentioned. The size of the cars is smaller, the fuel's more expensive, and they don't really go for the big engines and overpowering and muscle cars and very, very sporty models until you hit the very higher echelons of the pricing.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot just from being here. Joao taught me a lot because after he sold a very nice Mini Cooper to Gail, he had gained my confidence and my trust. And I basically told him what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And he told me that that would be very hard to find. And lo and behold, he was right. So I had to change my criteria a little bit. And he kind of came from a place of an off-the-wall thought that a Volvo might fit my needs better than what I was looking at. And he brought one in from Porto, which is a good 2-hour drive from here in Centro Portugal. And one of his colleagues brought in a car that was being sold up in that area. And I drove it. And we went out to lunch and I drove it back and I really liked it. So Joao taught me that I wasn't really looking for an Audi. I was looking for something a little different. And then about maybe a month later, after telling me that that particular car wasn't a very good deal and he couldn't make money and offer me a warranty on it, and I was going to pay too much for it. Long story short, he found me a nearly perfect condition 4-year-old Volvo up in Lisbon. And it was just through his connections. It wasn't part of his grid of company lots around the country. It was a friend of a friend. And he told me about it. He drove me up to Lisbon, which is hour and a half's drive. And I drove the car briefly and
back.
Yes, and fell in love with it. He drove me back. And before we went back to his shop, I would put a deposit down on it.
Wonderful. What a brilliant service. Incredible.
And then, as Gail will probably tell you, he provides a service after the sale. I didn't even quibble on the price. The price was fantastic for the condition of the car and the low miles. But then he kind of goes the extra yard to help you service the car. Some of it's not even covered by his warranty. So he's become a friend of the family, and we have lunch every once in a while, and he's just a joy to know.
Fantastic.
We have total trust in him, and he's earned that trust.
Wonderful. Wonderful to hear. Thanks, Mills. What about you, girl? You happy with your new wheels?
I'm very happy with my lovely black and white Mini Cooper. And when I showed it to Jerry, he said I looked like Twiggy.
Wow.
I
You
used
can't
to
buy that. You can't buy that kind of service.
I used to look a lot more like Twiggy when I was in my 20s, but I love driving the Mini. But what had happened with that is we looked at some other car dealers around, and Mills had been checking around, and we knew we were going to look for me a car first, something that would work for the both of us, because it might take him longer to find his car because he's more particular. I wanted something that I felt safe driving.
Yeah.
He had seen a little red Mini Cooper up the road, and we had checked around, and there was just something about, well, we didn't have any history on the car. And that was a big thing. Where's the car from? Where's the maintenance? All of this. And I'm looking for a very much a different car that I feel comfortable driving on small roads in the weather. And so then we went and checked where Joelle is, which is really maybe a kilometer or two at most. And we honk every time we go past.
Well, that's very handy for you then. Okay, excellent.
And so he took us to Lisbon to see a Mini Cooper that was like a 2018, significantly more expensive, around 18,000 euros. Nice car. I drove it around Lisbon, what was awkward a little bit because it's a little more crowded and you don't really get to take it out on the motorway. But we had tried out this other one that he had that was an import from Germany, 2012, like 136,000 kilometers on it, under $11,500. And I liked the way that car drove. It was grounded on the ground. It had been raining that day, so I could feel the tires on the road. And I got to take it up the IC9 towards Fatima and get it up to speed, bring it back, go on the roundabouts and all of that. And so I had done that first, and I saw the newer car, and it wasn't the same feel in the car. I didn't care that it had more bells and whistles and all of that. I told Mills I liked that other little car. And so we checked it out, and Joelle found as much history on it as we could. We checked for rust. We were worried about that, except for a couple of little places on some bolts. There was none. Very well cared for car, very clean. And so we ended up getting that car. And again, I arrived and it had this gorgeous red bow on it. And I do send that picture out occasionally. And
right. Well, can you put it in the chat? We'd love to see that. That service is incredible. And you made a friend of the family, as you say there.
Not only that, he made sure. I've had trouble with a few of I think my light bulbs were loose.
Yeah.
And check things for that. We had trouble a couple of weeks ago where we didn't know the car wouldn't start. We thought it was the battery. We called ACP, and I would have to say American Car Club. American, excuse me.
Yes. Automobile Club de Portugal. Yeah, we got it.
Has saved us significantly on our auto insurance. Last year it was up to 55% with Liberty, and this year it'll be with Generali Tranquilidad. I think they're now connected.
We'll come back to that because I think Jerry's got a final slide on how to work with all the partners at Expats Portugal, including ACP.
He said, "I'm there for you." It's his lunch.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Have the guy call me. Turns out that in the year that I've nearly had the car, in about another 3 weeks, I'd never turned the wheel enough that the wheel locked. So then the car looked dead. So the guy from ACP had it going in a couple minutes. And we both felt stupid because we had no idea, and you would think we would have done it. But Joelle was there for us. And we just feel that's when we told after Mills and we'd had our ongoing experience that Jerry, we really think that Joelle, with his expertise, his experience, and having his, I guess the mother location up near Braga, and many, many connections, that it was worthwhile for them to check out and maybe suggest him helping
Well, it seems to
find
be
the
working.
right car.
That is fantastic to hear. I need to go to Rick and Deborah, but thank you both so much. So we found you a fantastic person to work with to find your cars. We're going to get you a plasterer next. Let's go to Rick and Deborah.
A plaster? Oh, well, yes. Okay. I thought
Yeah,
you meant
okay.
plaster like a Band-Aid.
No, just behind you. Right. Thank you so much to the pair of you. And it was lovely to see you at the weekend in Battaglia. More about Battaglia later.
Hi, Rick. Hi,
Rick
Debbie.
and Deborah, if you don't mind giving your
Hi, how you doing?
about as well. Hey, good evening to you.
Hello.
How are you?
I'll let my wife talk. She likes to talk a
Excellent. Yeah,
lot.
good idea.
I don't know why he does this to me. So when we moved to Portugal, it was with the intent of not driving a car, not purchasing a car. However, as much as we love our little town that we're in Peniche, it's difficult to get to other cities via bus without going to Lisbon first. So that can take a whole day just to get where you need it to go. We decided right before Christmas, actually, that maybe we better think about maybe getting a car. And our landlord had talked to us about it a couple of times. You know, we really ought to get a car. And it's like, no, we really like walking. Phoenicia is a beautiful city for walking. So once we talked about it, Rick got in touch with you, all of you people, and you recommended Joe to us. And he talked with Rick, and we told him that we were not looking for anything fancy. We were just looking for a car that was going to be economical, give us good mileage, get us from point A to point B. And my husband's going, can you drive a manual? And I'm going, well, yeah. So Joe found us this wonderful car. It's a 2018 Ford Fiesta. It's a 4-door hatchback. It's in excellent condition. He brought it to us because we didn't have a car. To get to him would have taken 2 days probably. And so he brought us the car. So we did something that a lot of people don't normally do. We bought a car sight unseen.
Yeah.
We didn't see the car until he brought it to us. We had seen pictures of it. And with the understanding that if you brought it to us and we didn't like it, you could take it back.
Wow.
And we loved it. And
Yeah.
it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. We have had more good luck buying and doing things sight unseen in Portugal than anywhere in my whole entire
It
life.
says something about the trust, doesn't it? And also about the excellent service from Joao there. Thank you so much, Deborah. What about you, Rick? What do you have to say about your new Ford Fiesta and the service?
Oh, I just love it. It's a wonderful car. Of course, my driver's license expired, so I have to do the old-fashioned bit. Got to learn Portuguese, go to a Portuguese school, and then learn to drive. So anyway,
Chauffeur.
yeah,
Yeah, that works.
she's my driver.
Yeah,
So-
for the time being. That's fantastic. Thank you both
But the
very
main-
much indeed. Thank you so much. And what lovely sort of glowing accolades for Joao there. So thank you very much to Millers. And great to see you both as well in Battaglia at the weekend. It's lovely to meet you both there, over there, Rick and Deborah. So, Jerry, I think you've got a final slide, haven't you? And some details on how to bring everyone together on the team.
Well, we have one other person to
Oh, I do beg
bring
your pardon.
Oh,
Right.
sorry.
I do beg your pardon. Sorry.
Another Deborah?
Oh, another Deborah. That's what's throwing me. Deborah, are you there?
We're here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Is that
Thank
any-
you. Sorry about
Yeah,
that. I
I'm
do beg
here.
your pardon.
Oh, this Deborah.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
I
not
won't
you,
keep
Deborah.
saying-
The other
I
Deborah.
won't keep
Deborah.
saying Deborah. I won't keep saying Deborah because it's getting confusing now. But the Deborah who we haven't heard from. Thank you very much. If you could give your testimonial, that'd be wonderful.
I'll do that for us.
Hello.
My name's Megan. Joel, I can't really do anything else other than echo all the thoughts that have just been expressed. Debbie and I have purchased new for the last 20 years, generally speaking. High performance GTIs, Grand National Buicks, that sort of thing.
Wow.
So when we arrived here, I was kind of thinking along the same lines, and we got in contact with Joao, and he kind of rethought it for us, and um, he made his opinions clear, and thankfully he did that. I'm used to doing my own maintenance and so on and so forth, and I've left a whole bunch of tools back in the States, and so to have put myself in the hands of others is not an easy thing. And the experience with Joao and having him steer us in the right direction to the right car in the right environment. We're up in the Douro Valley, kind of off the beaten path, and it's real narrow and real tight here, and lots of heavy vehicle traffic. And the car that he put us in is ideal. We don't have much fuel cost. The car is performing excellently. I mean, like somebody, I believe it was Mills, or said that we trust him explicitly, and we do. And there's a chance we're going to add a vehicle. So we'll be getting back in contact with Joel to do that deal if that comes to fruition.
That's wonderful. Megan and Debbie, thank you so much for that. And what a lovely scenery you have, a backdrop there driving. I mean, that's one of the greatest roads in the country and in Europe, isn't it, to drive through the valley up there in the Douro?
It's beautiful.
Yes. It is the road. And we almost, it's hard for us to get off of it, just making our normal trips. You know, we're always driving on the.
It's so picturesque and beautiful. Thank you, both of you. Really appreciate your contribution there.
Thank you.
Joao must be absolutely glowing, Jerry, I think. Joao, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, how about that? A lot of love for you there tonight. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing what you're doing for the community here. It's really lovely to hear.
Yes, I am almost speechless with all that testimonials. It's my pleasure. Thank you, all of you, for your words. But at the end, it was my pleasure to help. Okay,
thank you so much.
It's not just a sale; it's a help. And it's a pleasure. Okay?
Well, we really get that. We really hear that, and are aware of that from the lovely words that have been said about you. The relevant partners, Jerry. Can we zoom in on that one? We've got. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
It's okay now. Okay. Thank you, Carl. I'm sorry about my technological skills are not doing too well tonight. Okay, I just wanted to finish up then. Our relevant partners when it comes to cars and motoring, we work with the Automobile Club. They have some pretty good services available to members. It's the Motoring Club of Portugal, the official Motoring Club of Portugal. They can help on matriculation procedures for anyone looking to do that. They can also assist on driving licenses and other legal matters. And they also have some good deals when it comes to fuel purchases and things like that. If you wish to become a member, we have some discounts on the membership fee. So contact us and let us know. Global International Relocation, who are the experts when it comes to shipping cars, and they can also handle the importation of cars. And as part of that, they can deal with the matriculation. They also have a service, and this is coming up in the chat. They also have a service where you can buy a car in another country, and they will arrange to transport that car, say from Germany, across and into Spain. However, it only works for higher end cars, and unless you're looking for cars 50,000 and upwards, then I don't know that it's a thing that's worthwhile doing. Certainly for an average car, for an average small family car, much better to buy in Portugal directly through João, for example. Winsurance, I think you all know our favorite insurance company, Nuno Mendes, and can help you with all vehicle insurance and options for that. Spartan FX, we talked about moving money to buy cars because you might not be able to get the credit rating here, and so you might need to transfer money. So Spartan, very good with that, and can deal with large amounts in a very timely fashion. They can transfer money within a few hours from the US to Portugal, for example. And of course, finally, João, what else can I say about him? I think it's all been said. But there is a form on our site. If you look him up on our business directory, there's a form you can complete and put some details in. So collect some basic details, hit the button, and they go to João, and then he will respond to that. I think we're asking you about budgets and automatics versus manuals and stuff like that. All of the details for all of these people are in the business directory. Or drop us a line at Admin Expats Portugal, and we'll be delighted to connect you. That's
Very
it.
good.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Carl.
Jerry. Thank you very much indeed. And yes, it's been a long journey, pardon the pun. My book of dad jokes, along with Jerry's, will be out in time for Christmas this year. But it's been a long journey tonight. But obviously, there's a lot of information to get in, and we'll stop the recording in just a moment. Thanks to you, Jerry, for the excellent information, and to João as well. Clearly, gentlemen who think outside the box, the gearbox, that is. I don't think there's any more time for any more of that, is there? Let's go and stop the recording here. Oh, just to say, the site is back up. So if you click on the link to find João at Roriz Car, you'll find that him and everybody else in the business directory, and the website is back up, I'm pleased to say. So let's pause it there and go to your questions. Premium members who join us live on a Thursday evening. So that's another good reason for becoming a premium member. Sign up at expatsportugal.com.